What's good, y'all? I already know where y'all at. It's your boy Star Jones, and it's a new episode of Star Views. It's about to start right now. So please, I hope you got your hookah ready, and I hope you got your cups full of whatever ready, because I got a lot to talk about, alright? Know what's going on. Star Jones, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Please and thanks, you heard? What's good, y'all? It's your man Star Jones, and I'm back with yet another episode of Star Views, and I'm sure y'all know I'm pretty excited about this new episode because I've been ranting and raving about this film all week long. As soon as the trailers hit, I just was ecstatic. So Black Widow is officially out. Came out this past Friday. By the time you guys see this, it'll be Tuesday. But yeah, it came out this past Thursday. This is the latest installment in the MCU. The first MCU Marvel film we have seen in the past 2 years. So I already know everyone who's a Marvel enthusiast out there is super excited. So I already know they went out. Obviously because it's already made $215 million globally. So I already know all the Marvel fans out there ran to the theaters, didn't waste no time. Record-breaking numbers. So the numbers are it's already going to exceed way, as far as numbers and statistics, it's already exceeding expectations. Not that it was at any doubt in anybody's mind. But y'all already know it's starring the lovely Scarlett Johansson and a couple other familiar faces that we've seen in the MCU before, as well as a couple new faces. But y'all already know it's the hookah time. So once I get the hookah ready, I'm going to come back. We're going to talk about exactly what transpired in the film. And you know what I'm saying? We're going to talk about it. There may be spoilers. There will be spoilers. So, yeah. If you haven't seen the movie already, I'd suggest you peace out and spin back when as soon as y'all, you get it under your belt, and then you can kind of, pull up and see what exactly how I feel about the film, alright? But yeah, it's definitely going to be spoilers, so, yeah. I'll be back in a second. So we back. Y'all already know I told you I was going to have the hookah for y'all. So, Black Widow, like I said, the highly anticipated film that we've all been waiting for some time since we've seen her unfortunate death in Avengers Endgame, which was very emotional for me, and I'm sure there are plenty of other people out there that share my sentiments. So, now, for those who don't know, Black Widow takes place in between Captain America Civil War and Avengers Infinity War. So this is immediately after, because remember, at the conclusion of Infinity War, we saw Natasha, who was originally on Team Iron Man, flip sides and helped Cap and Bucky escape from being arrested, but due to the breaking of the rules of the Sokovia Accords. Right? So that's that. So immediately after that, she decided to run off and I guess do what she does in the events of Black Widow. So Black Widow immediately opens up, and again, now that I thought about it after I made this hookah, yeah, it is going to be spoilers in this. So again, if you haven't seen the movie, spin the block as soon as you see it. Come back and holler at me, and I'll let you know exactly how you should feel about the film. If you're a little in between on how you feel, if you're just not sure, or if you just want to compare notes, let me know. But I'm here. So yeah, the movie opens up. We see a young Natasha Romanoff in Ohio in 1995, and a little girl with blonde hair, which is Yelena, her little sister. And pretty much that's when we're first introduced to her, I guess, adoptive family, aka Russian spies who work for the Red Room. Red Room being the organization that kidnaps young orphaned girls and turns them into highly trained assassins and carry out these missions to kill high priority targets in the world. So that's when we're first introduced to them. And again, this is cool because again we get a little backstory on Natasha, because we don't really know much about her other than, there's references to her past in the other films, but in this film they give us a little bit more detail, probably a lot more detail in her origins and exactly where she comes from. So The movie quickly escalates. It lets us, her father, Alexei, aka Red Guardian, he comes in the crib and pretty much tells them it's time for us to go home, aka Russia. You know, he's been compromised, so they have to make a run for the border, so to speak, right? So, immediately after that introduction into her past, we see Natasha on the run, because again, at the conclusion of Civil War, she was now being chased by Thaddeus Ross and the United States for breaking the rules of the Sokovia Accord. So, pretty much we just see her go from place to place to place, and then we quickly introduce to an older version of Yelena, her sister, and this is what pretty much this is the moment where it pretty much sparks the movie from that point on. So the younger sister, Yelena, is chasing down this former Red Room assassin who now has a new life, and she's trying to expose the Red Room. So now she's tasked of killing said older Red Room member. So when she runs down on the Red Room member, they get it on, they start shaking, and before she's able to kill the older Red Room member, the Red Room member hits this button and this red chemical pops up, and then boom, now all of a sudden Yelena is broken free from this brainwash chemical, as they say in the film, or whatever it is they use to brainwash her. So as you learn in the film, there are two different techniques they use to brainwash the members of the Red Room. Back in Natasha's day when she was younger, they just used psychological techniques to brainwash them and manipulate them and sway them to do things that they wanted to get done. Whereas Yelena, who's significantly younger, probably about 6 years, they implemented this new procedure where they was chemically inducing them with certain things to warp their minds and control them. So again, the red little dust that pops up is something that breaks Yelena free from the brainwash. So now at this point, Yelena's free, and now she can think for herself, and she realizes, oh shit, I'm wilding, I don't want to do this anymore. She sends out a SOS pretty much to Natasha, and that's how Natasha gets involved with her old family, and that's when the journey begins. That's when we're introduced to Red Guardian. At a later age, we see Melina, who is her mother, and we see everyone who's involved with the whole mind control of the Red Room. And pretty much at this point, Yelena and Natasha is motivated on bringing down the Red Room. The total runtime of this film is 2 hours and 14 minutes. So pretty much the first 15 minutes is the introduction of her past, and then the remaining, I guess, 2 hours is about her linking up with her sister, her old family, and taking down the Red Room. So yeah, 2 hours and 14 minutes. Definitely use the bathroom before you go into the theater. I had to run out really quickly. I'm glad I didn't miss much. I literally ran from my seat to the bathroom and then back. So I didn't miss much. So yeah, that's Black Widow, starring Scarlett Johansson. Florence Pugh plays Yelena. I forget the name of son that plays Red Guardian, but he's the sheriff in Stranger Things. So, you know, a couple of familiar faces. And then you have Thaddeus Ross. I forget his real name, but Thaddeus Ross could be seen in a whole bunch of Avenger movies, as well as the Hulk movie that came out years ago, the first one. Well, the one that counts. All right. So when I come back, we're gonna actually give you the rating. I'm gonna give you the pros and cons of the film, and whether or not you guys should see it or not. All right. So enjoy. I'll be back in a second. Hookah time. Hookies. So we back, folks. Yes, I'm drinking with y'all also. So we're back. So, again, this is a portion of my favorite part of the show, and I'm sure this is what you guys all look forward to see what the rating is, so you guys can hit my phone and yell at me and tell me how you don't like my rating, or you like my rating, because I do get those kind of phone calls. Please, if you don't like my critique of the film or my rating on the film, hit the comments. Let me know. Let me know. Give me a thumbs up. Greatly appreciated. Alright? So now, gonna go right into the pro. Marvel, the MCU, does an amazing job of just tickling our heartstrings. And I'm an emotional person. I'm sensitive as well, I'm not gonna lie. And so Marvel does a great job of hitting me in the heart. And I like movies that could touch on the emotional side. So the fact that they give us a very detailed explanation on her past was good. And that's one of the things I liked about the film. I definitely think it's a big pro. Because, again, I know who Natasha Romanoff is, Black Widow is in the comics, but I don't really know who she is in the comics. I know her only in the MCU adaptation. So, you know, they always, like I mentioned before, they always give us little hints of who she was or where she came from and how she has such a dark past. And in this film, they pretty much give vivid details about how dark the Red Room was. For example, if y'all remember in, what was that, no, I think that was in Infinity War. I think that was Civil War. No, Age of Ultron. Age of Ultron is when we learned that Natasha cannot bear children. She cannot conceive a child. And that was the scene she had with Bruce Banner. And that was kind of like, wow, they, you know. And so now in Black Widow, they gave extreme details on what they do to the women of the Red Room. They remove their uterus. They remove their ovaries. So yeah, I felt like I was in a sexual education class back in college. So, you know, again, it makes you really feel bad for the character, and Marvel's really good. The MCU is really good at making you empathize with these characters and really feel them. So I like that. That's a plus for me. Another pro, the character Taskmaster. Throughout the promotion of this film, they made it a point of concealing exactly what gender Taskmaster was, who's playing Taskmaster, excuse me. They made it a point of you won't know until you see the film. And when I won't ruin that for y'all. When I found out who Taskmaster was, I was thrown off a little bit. I wasn't really expecting that. There are people out there that said it was predictable and they kind of knew, you know, going in. Once the film started and, you know, we started finding out little backstories about, you know, Natasha and the one mission she really felt bad about. So it kind of pieced together. Now that I sit back and think about it, yeah, I guess it was kind of right in front of your face after a while. But for me, it still kind of caught me off guard, and I was like, oh, all right. And just Taskmaster as a whole, I think the character is just complex. I think it's cool what they did with Taskmaster. And, you know, just the idea of the character. Like, the character could look at someone and just learn their moves like this. They mentioned that in the film, Taskmaster had the fighting abilities of Captain America, Clint Barton, that's Hawkeye, and T'Challa, Black Panther. So that's cool. The fact that Taskmaster could just look at something and learn fighting abilities like that, I thought that was interesting. Pros, I like the scenery. I like the scene where she had to break Alexia out of jail. I said it was gonna be spoilers. Red Guardian. You know, I think that was a lot of good camera work. But again, we're in 2021. Most films' camera work is amazing. We're also talking about Marvel. So, again, that goes without being said. So, those were some of the pros of the film. Now, as far as the cons are concerned. Now, I will say that, for me, I like fighting movies. I'm really into fighting movies. I'm really into fisticuffs and all that, and I'm big on choreography. Like, I feel like if the fighting choreography is not convincing, it's really gonna hurt how I feel about the film, especially when that's a part of the main elements of the film. Like in this film, Natasha Romanoff, we know Natasha can shake. She's with all the smoke. She's running down everything. So for me, I was looking forward to like some intense fight scenes, and I guess Disney and Marvel, these fight scenes were intense. For me, they were not. I feel like, especially because we know Natasha's pedigree, Black Widow's pedigree, I feel like the fighting scenes and the choreography could have been way better. I recently watched the movie Ava on Netflix, and I'm not comparing films, I'm just comparing fighting. And Ava centered around an assassin, a female assassin, and in that movie, she got it on crazy. Like, I felt it. Like, there were parts in that film where I was like, like, you feel the punches, because it's like, that's how, and you know what I'm saying? Like, in every other scene where she got it on, the Ava chick, she was slamming dudes, like, boom. Now, don't get me wrong. Natasha does a little twirly thing, and she slams them and all that. You know, it's cool, but it just wasn't enough for me. So for me, I was kind of disappointed with the fight and choreography. That kind of let me down. Yeah, I just feel like, I guess maybe, again, because it's MCU and it's Disney, they got to really kind of scale back a little bit. But again, maybe they should have made it a rated R film. Who knows? But, you know, it's just like sometimes I think with certain characters, it's okay to make them a little bit more gritty, especially given their pedigree. Another kind of film was, as much as I appreciate, hold on, I'm going to rewind. Budapest. They mentioned Budapest, and I can appreciate Budapest. But Budapest is this place that Natasha references throughout her time in the MCU with Hawkeye. They talk about Budapest. And a little backstory, Budapest is where Natasha was on a mission, and Clint, aka Hawkeye, was sent to kill her, but instead recruited her to be a part of S.H.I.E.L.D. And again, throughout the promotion of this film, they showed Budapest in the previews and the trailer. So we thought that, at least I was under the impression that we was going to get a very detailed flashback of what transpired. I even thought we was going to get a surprise cameo from Hawkeye. But womp womp, we didn't get that. So they did not show us anything of that mission where Natasha was recruited. Instead, they talked about Budapest. Her and Yelena had a conversation, and she gave specific details about what happened, which is more than we ever got before. And as much as I appreciate that, I would still have rather seen it take off and actually happen and like show us visually what happened. And like I said, a cameo from Hawkeye would have been fire. But this movie really didn't give me a lot as far as wow. There wasn't really too many wow factors in the film. And I feel like in the trailer, this is another con, I feel like maybe because the movie was supposed to come out in 2020 and they dropped so many trailers, I think they gave us too much. Because a lot of the things that we seen in the trailers were the big moments in the film. For example, when we seen Taskmaster falling out the sky and Taskmaster jabbed the knife into the debris from the fallen ship, and he slid across. In the movie, that's all it was. Like that was like the big CGI moment, and then that was it. I was looking forward to another fight with Taskmaster and Natasha, and we didn't get that. I feel like Natasha should have fought Taskmaster. And she didn't again. She fought Taskmaster, but you know, it was a Natasha that was on a run, and she wasn't really ready to shake with anybody yet. But now at this moment, she was with all the shits, all the smoke, and now it just didn't happen. So for me, that was kind of a letdown. And like I said, it wasn't. And I feel like again, the trailers gave, I think, too much. I think if they didn't put out as many trailers and they left us to just drool over 1 or 2 trailers, it would have been fine. But I think that kind of hurt the film. I know I said the pros already, but this is like a mix. This is like a combination of a pro and a con. The post-credit scene, we see Valentina. Valentina is the girl with the purple hair that we were introduced to in Captain America and Winter Soldier. And so now we learn that Valentina's actually putting together a team. I know all my my conspiracy theorists out there was already, for those who know the comic already know Valentina's role, and that Valentina's going to put it together, I guess what you can call the Dark Avengers. They're like the Avengers, but they're a little bit more nasty with what they do. They're a little bit more spicy in how they get their shit done. So we're reintroduced to Valentina in the post-credit. She's meeting with Yelena at Natasha's gravesite. That is not a spoiler, because we all know Natasha's dead. So yeah, I liked it, but the way that so pretty much Yelena was a part of the Red Room, and Yelena was also brainwashed. So now she's being brainwashed again because she's being manipulated into thinking that Hawkeye killed Natasha Romanoff, when in reality we all know Natasha sacrificed herself for the greater good. So I didn't like that. I didn't like how they spun that. And now Yelena was freed from the Red Room and their manipulation, and now she's being manipulated again for now Valentina and whoever she works for in their agenda. So I liked it. Like, all right, cool. Yelena, we'll see her again. I think Yelena, she's a pro as well. Now that I'm talking about it, Yelena was a pro because throughout the film she calls Natasha a poser, because every time Natasha goes into a fight, she does this flip with her hair and she leans with her leg, stretched out. And Yelena did that, so it kind of was like, okay, she's gonna be the new Black Widow. So I did like that, but as far as the post credit is concerned, it was just like the pros and cons. It was a combination of both. Because again, I don't like the fact that Yelena was freed from the Red Room and their manipulation, and now she's being brainwashed again, which is effed up. But yeah, so that's that. With all that said, I'm going to have to rate this film a 6.5. I'm going to give this movie 6.5 stars, and it brings me very, 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 very. I mean, again, a 6.5 is not a bad grade. I don't want people to be like, oh, you gave it a 6.5 out of 10. 6.5 is passing. Think of it like in school. If you got a 65 on your report card, was you proud of that 65? No. But ultimately you passed. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want people to be like, oh man, the movie's not that bad. It isn't that bad. That's why I got a 6.5. I think it was okay. I just expected way more. And again, like I said, I feel like the trailer gave way too much, because by the time you seen the film, it was like most of these big moments we saw in the trailer. Like, they literally put out a whole 2 minutes of the car chase scene in Budapest. So, it's like we kind of seen most of the boom moments, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? So, for me, I was disappointed. And I love me some Scarlett Johansson. But, it definitely, when I walked out the theater, I'm like, yeah, I need some hookah, because I was disappointed. Like I said, I didn't hate the film. I don't dislike the film. I think it is kind of a letdown, because now it's like, all right, well, we know we're never going to see Natasha again, or maybe, because now we're being introduced to the Multiverse of Madness. But if we don't see her again, it's like, damn, we went out with this. And I feel like they could have better served Natasha. I just feel like it could have been way better. Like I said, the fighting for me wasn't enough oomph. It wasn't enough oomph. When I see a fight scene, especially when it involves a woman, I just want to really see them shake. I want to see them throw down. Like, look at Atomic Blonde with Charlize Theron. Wow, she was wilding in that film. Just another film where she was acting crazy. A woman acting crazy. And I love this scene. Woman empowerment. You feel what I'm saying? But, unfortunately, like I said, 6.5. For all my Marvel fans out there, you definitely should see it. But as far as continuity goes, it really serves no purpose outside of the post-credit scene at the end with Yelena and Valentina. That's the only relevance it has to the current timeline, because again, this film falls in between two older films. So that's that. That's my time. Like I said, if you guys agree with me, thumbs up. If you don't agree, hit the comments and we can talk about it. Yeah, I will be back here next week. I have 2 movies this weekend, I believe. Space Jam Legacy, which is the sequel to the movie that came out so long ago with Michael Jordan, now starring LeBron and the whole Bugs Bunny crew. And Escape Room, Tournament of Champions. So that's 2 movies. Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out exactly how I'm going to squeeze all this into one tiny weekend. But I'm going to figure it out. Y'all sit back, relax, don't worry about it. I'm going to get it to you guys. So yeah, that's my time, folks. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all night. And already, subscribe, like, comment, please and thanks. Holla at y'all. Oh, y'all still here? Appreciate y'all for sticking around, man. But I don't got no more hookah. But what I do have is more content on my YouTube channel. So please, if you haven't done so already, hit that red button and subscribe. Hit the bell so you'll be notified as soon as I post anything. Alright? And if you haven't already followed me on social media, here's my information. Make sure y'all follow up. Appreciate it. Y'all still here, man. That's valid. Have a good one.